I do 80% of hard work, which is like commercial,
Yep.
malls, shopping centers, rural property, things like that. It's like I don't have physical areas, so I'm everywhere. I would go 5 hours north. I would go up to Chicago. I would go over to Kansas City. I go down towards Arkansas and go over to Indiana. That's complete my immediate area. And then I would shoot all the way over to Georgia if I have to.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Welcome everybody, Dustin Harris. Boy, it's been a while since we did an Appraiser Stories. I'm excited. I've got one today for you. I want to remind you we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Working RE, of course, is the place that I go to find out what the heck is going on in my own profession, folks. You want to be caught up on what is happening and what the future looks like. Make sure you're signed up for workingre.com and their emails that come out on a regular basis. Again, it's workingre.com. Speaking of being caught up in your industry, are you caught up with the latest technology? DataMaster 6 is rolling out across the country, and you can find that at datamasterusa.com. One more time, it's datamasterusa.com. And finally, we are sponsored by Alamode Software. Alamode, of course, is the software I've been using for over 20 years. They've been in business for over 30 years, helping appraisers do more with less. Check them out. Go to alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. One more time, it's alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. Well, folks, open invitation to any of my listeners, any appraisers who would like to tell their story. Even if you wouldn't like to tell your story. My next guest claims to be an introvert, though he speaks very well. But I pull that out there because guess what, folks? I'm an introvert as well. So two introverts talking on the microphone today. If we can do it, anybody can do it. Mr. Courtney Hoffman, welcome to the program, Courtney.
Thank you very much, Justin. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
I appreciate it. Did I categorize you properly? You're an introvert. I'm an introvert, but we're gonna try to have a conversation. It's gonna be tough.
We're gonna make it through this. I'm an extreme introvert, so I'm actually shocked that I'm actually doing it.
I love this, man. You know what? There's nothing that does.
I'm an expert listener of your show.
I love it.
And actually, your show have changed my life.
Is that right? I know you're exaggerating, man.
I am a big fan. You are the Moses of the real estate appraisal business in my eyes.
Let my people go, right?
So many appraisers free.
Yeah, and now we're wandering around in the wilderness for 40 years, not knowing what the hell we're.
Oh man, but you're
trying to find the promised land, right? That's
awesome.
funny. That's funny. Well, you're a good man. I love it when people step outside their comfort zone, and obviously this is that for you. And so thank you for being willing. I think this should be a testament to anybody who else has had the thought cross their mind. Gee, I wonder if I could do that. Nope, I'm an introvert. I couldn't do it, folks. Look at Courtney. He can do it. If he can do it, anybody can do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, my friend.
Absolutely.
So where are you calling in from? Where are you located? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm in the St. Louis, Missouri metropolitan area.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, so I don't really have a designated location.
Okay.
Because I'm like all over the place. I'm licensed in Georgia, Illinois, and Missouri. So
wow.
And actually for my physical address, I rarely get any work in my physical address. I get more work everywhere else other than my main location. So
you're an active appraiser in all three states?
Yes, very active.
Man.
And I actually added another area. I added Georgia simply because, it made it, listening to you, the way that you separate your areas on certain days.
Yeah.
I work almost every day, period. So the way that I broke it down made me able to add on another state that I be in kind of often. So I end up getting that license at the beginning of the year, but I'm always down in Georgia. So
Wow.
it made it work. So
Good for
like
you.
Monday, early part of the week, Monday, Tuesday, I'm in the western area of Missouri, and Wednesday, Thursday, I'm in Illinois, like the eastern side of Missouri, and then on Fridays, local, Saturday and Sundays, I'm in Georgia.
Good
Yeah,
for you,
so
man. Good for you.
always working.
Wow. That keeps you hopping. What kind of volume are you doing? Are you residential, commercial, both?
I'm a certified general. I do both. I've been a general for about 17 years. I'm actually 40. I've been in the real estate business as a broker at the age of 17 and a half years old. So in the state of Missouri. So I've been a broker for 20 something years.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. So what got you into this whole line of appraising work?
Uh the what actually got me in it, well, I say, okay, I want to be an appraiser, is when, as a real estate broker, I had to wait to be paid. So if a transaction doesn't close, I don't get paid. So, but we order appraisers and appraisal, and the appraiser come in, he get paid no matter what. So I like, okay, that's what I
Wait
want
a
to do.
second. I don't know
want to
what
be able to
world you're
get paid
living in.
whether
Get
the
paid no
deal
matter
go good or bad.
no matter what. Come on now.
No
I
matter
don't know
what.
I don't know what world you're living in, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, at that point in time, back in those days, I mean, you get paid at the door. So, at that time, I didn't know anything about net 30 or doing any net 30 work or any of that. So everything that I've done was always paid at the door. So the net 30 actually came in to play maybe about 6 years ago. So before then, I wanted mine always up front.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how's it been for you? How's business been?
It has been good, but since listening to your show, your podcast, it has been great. Like I said, it changed like my entire appraising life. Cause now I don't only do appraising. I'm a real estate broker. I'm a claim adjuster, certified general appraiser, and I own a few businesses. So I'm like very active. But like
you're a busy guy.
yeah. So, but after starting listening to your show, I've become very, very active and getting much more volume than I did before.
I love it, man.
So I was able to do a lot, but now I do a lot more appraisal work than I did everything. It was kind of like spread it out, but I do a whole lot more appraisal work.
You know that's why I got into coaching, right? Courtney, you are the poster child for the avatar that I had in mind when I started coaching.
Right. And you know what? The craziest thing is, I don't want to make it. It's not racist or anything, but I'm saying as I listen to your show and all the things that you're experiencing, what you went through, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm a black Dustin Harris.
That is awesome. I got a black twin. I didn't even know that, man.
Yeah, so it was the same thing, but I love. There isn't an episode that you've done that I haven't listened to,
well, thank you, man.
I travel. I can go as many as 8 hours one direction.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Yeah, and you and your show and the voice of appraisal. That's all I listen to, because I don't listen to the radio at all. So 99% of the time, I'm either driving silent. If I'm not driving in silence, I'm driving with your show or the other show. But that's it. But between the two shows, the two podcasts, if an appraiser cannot change their life, it's just appraising is not really what they want to do.
Well, I'll tell you, I heard a rumor that Mark Skapinitz is starting a podcast as well. So
I saw that.
You might have to drive 10 hours one way now.
I think he's doing his first one, or did his first.
I love it, man. Good for you. Good for you. Well,
and you know what? It's interesting because I didn't know. I actually just joined the 100%
Yeah,
appraisers,
on
but it
Facebook,
was
you bet.
simply because of you. But I noticed his name in the in on some web page. I say, that's the guy right there. So I clicked on him, and I was like, Dustin always talking about him,
Yeah.
and the way you introduce him and the last name, I like you can't. That's one last name that you can never forget.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah,
Skapinitz
so I
is,
was like, that's the
yep.
guy. I said, let me
That's
join. But
awesome.
it's been perfect.
Good for
It's
you.
been
Good for
perfect.
you. Well, tell me a little bit about, you've got a big coverage area, obviously, and you're trying to be efficient, trying to schedule properly. But tell me a little bit about your area and what makes it unique.
The question about the uniqueness about that is I don't have an area.
That's
I
pretty
don't
unique.
have an area. I can't say that St. Louis, or I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois. We just right over the bridge from St. Louis, but we are in the St. Louis metropolitan area.
Okay.
But I can't say I have an area because most of my work is in the country, in the county area, in rural areas, and I do 80% of hard work, which is like commercial,
Yep.
malls, shopping centers, rural property, things like that. It's like I don't have a physical area, so I'm everywhere. I would go 5 hours north. I would go up to Chicago. I would go over to Kansas City. I go down towards Arkansas and go over to Indiana. That's complete my immediate area, and then I would shoot all the way over to Georgia if I have to.
I have to insert this because I guarantee there's some listeners on the other side of their headphones yelling at their smartphone right now saying, well, how the hell do you remain geographically competent then, Courtney?
Well, you know what? And that was like always one of the things I've been a certified journal for a very long time. And I did a lot of work throughout that time in pretty much all of Illinois and all of Missouri.
Gotcha.
And the Georgia part, I lived in Georgia for a few years, so I know some of that area. But outside of that, what I do, I actually ran for mayor in my community that I'm in of East St. Louis.
Wow.
And I do a lot of research I create the folder when I get an assignment or over the years, I create a folder that contains the demographics of the community that it's in. I look up how many businesses there. I just do what do they Aries 5, 10, 20-mile radius around, and I keep that. And then when I go visit, I go to the county. I talk to a lot of the county people that's there, find out if anything that's affecting the community in a negative way or things that they don't like. And that's pretty much kind of it. So I just do a lot of research beforehand on every county that I've been to. And I've been to pretty much every single county in the state of Illinois and Missouri, except one. There's one
well, sounds like you need to take a road trip.
Not step foot in under no circumstance.
I won't even ask. I'm not going to go there.
I don't think I need to tell you which one that is.
Not going to go there. So, what's interesting, Courtney, is I hear you talk, this whole idea of geographic competency, which, by the way, is not a phrase that you will find in USPAP, at least in the official USPAP section. Mm-hmm. But I find that geographic competency, if that is a thing, I find it interesting that residential appraisers seem to be quite concerned about it, where commercial appraisers don't even have that thought cross their mind. And I think there's something to that.
Not at all, because we have to go everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have to find a mall. You have to go where another mall is. So it's there's no boundaries in the sense of that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's, you've been doing this, tell us again, how many years?
I've been 18, 19 years as an appraiser and 22 years as a real estate broker.
Okay. So you and I have been doing this a similar amount of time. Let's talk about a scary or disturbing encounter that you might have had as an appraiser.
Well, I've had a few.
I'll bet you have.
And I tell people ask me as an appraiser, what are the things that I need to be on the lookout for, or that I look out for? Two things are the urban gangs, and I look out for them.
Yeah.
And the others are rural cows. I say the gangs are what to say? I guess gangs not keep the peace, but like control. They control the urban area,
Yeah.
and cows control the rural area.
I love it. Well, I'll tell you what, I can relate to you on the cow side. I can't
Yeah,
relate to you on the gang side. Not in Idaho,
right.
Wyoming, and
Yeah.
Utah.
The cows are dangerous. They actually ask me which one is worse. I say they are equally bad to me. I've been knocked 10 feet in the air with a cow that I
Oh
just
my
wasn't.
gosh.
I paid no attention to my surroundings, and the cow just came. I was chased by a cow, and I landed in a whole heap of cow manure.
Oh
I
no.
had to go to Dollar General to change clothes, but they told me I had to buy clothes from Dollar General first. Yeah, so but cows worry me.
Have you had any encounter? I hate to even ask, but had any encounters with the gangs, or you're just keeping one eye peeled?
Well, I did, but it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
But because the area that it was in, I am familiar with that area, and the areas that I cover, and I actually was born and raised in, has been labeled as the most crime-ridden, worst areas in the United States of America.
Wow.
And yeah, so they say that my particular hometown where I ran for mayor at was different sources labeled East St. Louis as the number one crime-ridden death trap in the United States of America. And then second to that is Chicago. But people would say Chicago is the worst. But in my opinion, Chicago is the worst. That's out of all of the areas that I cover, I don't do Chicago.
Wow. I'm still trying to get over this introverted mayor thing.
Oh yeah, I have a policy. Well, it's not a policy; it's more like a principle.
Mm-hmm.
And the principle is that I would do any and everything that I have to do, and that's what I live by. So, with that being said, I'm tired of being introverted in a sense. So,
breaking outside that box, are you?
Yeah, you're right. It's so much that I like, but I have something to offer. I trade stocks. I'm a professional day trader. I trade foreign currency now more than I did stocks. And I've traded over 200 million in the stock market. So it's just like personally traded. So it's just to the point where I have something to offer, and since I wanted to do it for my community, 99% of all development that happened in my community, I would say maybe 75% of it, I have been involved in it. So I have something to offer and bring to the table, and that's one of the things that made me want to run. So it's not on a selfish, personal basis. It's just I believe in the more that I'm able to help people, the more that I get in return. In the fact of what you put out is what you receive.
Man, so I love it. I love it. But I got to ask you, brother, how many hours a week are you working? Do you have a personal life?
I work every day, all day long.
Wow.
Yeah, I work every day, all day long. Like most of the time, like when I leave, I can leave out at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning. Don't make it back to about 10. And then at 10 o'clock on to about 2, 3 in the morning, I'm setting my files up to be shipped off to be typed.
Holy cow, dude! You got
it. Then I wake up in the morning and finish those reports that I sent over. I send those out, then I'm out again, and that's an ongoing basis. So,
wow,
that's kind of how.
Wow, you and I need to talk. You need to join my dream team. I gotta get your life back, man.
Right? Because I know but I just don't. I'm so used to being so active every day, all day. I enjoy it. I don't know what I
Yeah,
would
that's what they
do.
all say. That's what they all
Yeah,
say.
yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
Okay.
just don't know what I would do in the meantime. I know
Golf?
what I do. I'll fill it up with something else.
Yes, you would. Yeah. Okay. Most humorous things ever happened to you in 20 years of real estate? This could be on both the broker side or the appraiser side.
Well, the most funniest thing is always the cows. The cows, the rural cows. They are. I'm a city guy, completely city. I kind of got a lot of hood in me, but I'm going out and seeing these big old cows and just being. I mean, it's just like being bit by a dog for the first time.
You ever hit one with your car?
No, no.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that was a funny time.
Oh, yeah. Hilarious.
No. I didn't get hit. I didn't hit get hit by. I didn't hit a car. I mean, a cow or anything. I was stepping. I was in a rural area, and I had to use it. Number one, and I was in the weeds, and in the weeds, there was a deer right in front of me. I don't know if I was peeing on the deer or whatever, but it chased me all the way back to my car. I had to jump on top of the hood of the car and had to wait. I think I had to wait like 30 minutes because it just kept running around the car, running around. So I was just still on the hood.
And probably didn't have time to zip up.
To come get me.
Oh, dude,
that's the funniest. That's the funniest
the
one.
vision that is
Next
going
to that
through my
was the
head
cow.
right now is something else.
I've had some experiences with these rural areas.
We're talking with Courtney Hoffman out of St. Louis, Missouri, and we'll get back to him in just a minute. Gotta pause here and remind you we're sponsored by three great companies. Of course, Alamode is the software that I've been using for over 20 years. Folks, why do I use Alamode? I'll tell you why. Talk about efficiencies. If you're somebody like Courtney who is traveling all over, very, very busy, you're going to want to use software that will allow you to be able to do more with less, that will allow you to be able to get more done in the time allotment that you have to get it done. Alamode will do that for you. Folks, the tools that is found in Alamode are absolutely incredible. They will blow your mind. Check them out. Go to alamode.com for more information, or you can call them at 800-ALAMODE. Speaking of getting more done, how would you like to save 30 to 60 minutes per report? How? Well, DataMaster allows you to be able to download information that you're going to have to enter into the report anyway. Okay. With a touch of a button, after you've chosen your comps, you hit one button and it will download your tax information. It will download your MLS information. It will fill out the subject line, the MC sheet, the top of the grid, and the grid itself. Absolutely amazing, folks. Trust me, time yourself on those four things and then tell me it won't save you 30 to 60 minutes per report. It will. Every single time. DatamasterUSA.com is where you need to go. DatamasterUSA.com. Finally, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Working RE, of course, is the place that I go to find out more about my own profession, to find out about what is going on. Just this morning, got an email from Working RE and opened it up and read an article by the editor, Mr. Isaac Peck, a friend of mine, and learned a little something new today. Folks, you can find back issues, back articles by going to workingre.com. And while you're there, sign up for their free email. Again, it's workingre.com to learn more about your profession as an appraiser, workingre.com. All right, folks, welcome back. Another Appraiser Stories for you today. Talking to a very funny man, a black brother I didn't know. Welcome back to the program, Mr. Courtney Hoffman.
Thank you.
It's good to have you, my friend. So we're talking about the experiences that you've had as an appraiser. You've been doing this a very long time. Talk to me about, if you could boil it down, what's the biggest failure, the experience that you learned the most from?
Well, my biggest failure actually in life is not being open to groups, or not being sociable to people and having to learn it and be sociable at damn near half period of my life. So I think that if I was more active in any type of activities, or with any groups or anything, I'll be like better off and be more sociable, and I probably will have a much better life than I do now. But even though my life is good, it can be a whole lot better if I was more sociable.
That comes naturally to some people, and some people it does not.
Exactly.
I've talked many times on this program about myself being an introvert, and people really don't believe me. They come up to me at conferences, they come up to me, my masterminds, and they say, "Come on, Dustin, you're an introvert." Absolutely, I am. Now, I'm more of an ambivert, which means I can play both sides. But the way I gain energy is not by being around people. It's by being by myself. It's renewing, in a quiet way, and so I found. Courtney, I've learned this over the years to find time to renew myself, and that means time for solo time. I mean, yesterday, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I went golfing. You ready for it? Here's the punchline: by myself. And it was great. I loved it. I had my headphones, I had my golf clubs, and it was just me. And that's how I renew. And it was great. So talk to me about your biggest success. Is it on the cups of the failure? In other words, did the failure lead to a success or something different?
They say for every negative thing in your life, there's an equal or greater thing that happens. My biggest success is living, being able to see my kids, and just do the things that I really want to do, even though I don't have less time. I mean, I don't have as much time, but I don't really do much. But the things that I do, I can do it whenever I feel like it.
Love it.
And how I feel like, without anybody just saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. And the last job that I remember ever having is 911. I remember leaving Ralston Purina as a security guard, and I'm hearing the radio, and I'm like shocked, as it, like, is this like really happening? And the building I worked in, it's not nowhere near as tall as the World Trade Center.
Right.
But when I left there, I was like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do it. And that day, I was parked in my driveway, and that said that was it. I can't work for anyone else. And I have not worked and received a paycheck from any company that I have not owned or operated myself.
Good for you, man. That is so inspiring. Wow. That is inspiring. All right, my friend, where are we going as a profession? 3 to 5 years from now.
Well, you know what? When I first heard the question, I had two thoughts about that. The first thought, it was more positive, but I don't think it was reality. The first thought was the appraisal industry is going to be great and it's going to live on forever. But then the reality of it is, since the creation of the computer and the internet, the internet is the most destructive thing that has ever been created, but also the most greatest thing that has been created.
Sure.
The internet has allowed and computers has allowed for businesses to replace human beings. So as more time progresses, I think the less we have human interaction. I think outside of the criminal system, it's going to be like the only system that people are not going to be able to. Let me see how to work. Be able to work or not be able to work. But whichever way, we will not be human beings working. And the Amazon grocery stores and things like that is kind of like a show tell that it's something is happening, and we will eventually be replaced.
Interesting. I think you and I differ on that, but that's okay. We can have a discussion another time on it. But where does that put you in 3 to 5 years then?
Well, I do so much.
Yeah.
Well, in the 3 to 5 years, I think I'm still secure.
Okay. So your outlook is much further down the road.
With the industry. Yeah, I'm thinking further. More further down the road. But if a person is not doing anything that requires themselves and the computer and the internet, chances are their life on making money in the maybe distant future is going to be slim.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. Well, we'll have to see how that plays out, my friend. In the
Yeah.
meantime, you've been doing this long enough that I want to ask you for one helpful tip for appraisers.
Okay. That tip is go to iTunes, pull up the very first episode of your show and listen to it all the way to the most current to this episode. And if a couple weeks pass, listen to those. So don't stop listening. And then after you done listen to it once or twice, listen to it again. Let this be, because you're going to always pick up something that you missed the first time or the second time. It's always something. I'm like, man, this is some good stuff.
Oh, you're
especially
a good man.
in the industry. And but that's what it was. I mean, that's would be the tip. If the podcast between you and the other show.
Good for you. Good for you. So,
like I said, if a person cannot, go ahead.
Are you listening to this on normal speed? I hope you're speeding it up.
Well, I listen to you on 1.5.
Okay, all right.
Well, I listen to all podcasts on 1.5 because it takes too long the other way.
I know, man. I know it's too slow.
I'm ready for the beef.
You know what's interesting? I listen to Audacity. I mean, totally off the topic here, but I listen to Audible books all the time, and I'm listening to them on 2, sometimes 2.5 speed. Believe it or not. And and the other day there was a section that I wanted to get really well because I listened to it a couple times and I didn't really get through it, and it was pretty important information. So I slowed it down to normal speed, just 1 speed. Right? You ever done this after you used to listen to it on 1.5 or what have you? You slow it down to 1. It's like, holy cow, these people talk so slow. Can't even believe it.
Well, yeah, with learning the iPod and the iPad and the iTunes, within the first maybe 20 seconds of even listening to it, I knew that speed 1 wasn't for me.
It is not going to work. So nope, not for you. It has
always been that. I can't listen to it no other way.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm the same way. All right, are you ready for the lightning round, my friend, before we cut you loose?
Yes,
okay.
I am.
Here we go. Inside out or outside in?
I do outside in, left to right.
Holy cow, wow. Tape, roller, or laser?
I do a laser, but for some reason, I left my laser in my other car when I did the inspection, and I had the tape in my car, and I had to use that tape, and I felt like, Lord, like I haven't used one of these things in years.
It's like slowing a podcast down to 1 speed. Right?
It felt funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Tablet, computer, or clipboard and pen?
Well, before I used to do the clipboard and paper. Then after listening to your show, I tried to do Allen mode on a iPad or in any tablet or whatever. It just didn't work for me. Then I tried to do I have a Surface Pro based on your show. You use something else, but it can convert to a full computer if I want to. So I have my Surface Pro is connected to 6 screens. So I use 6 monitors when I do my work. So I use that and along with Note. So it's kind of like a combination.
Sure. Okay.
So I pull in my field report note into Note, and then I mark it on the computer that way, and I just email the file off when I'll stick it in my folder and send the folder off to be worked on.
Awesome. Okay, cool. That works. Appraisal software.
Alamo since the beginning. And actually, the funniest thing when I first got started, I couldn't afford Alamo. Oh, I didn't even know Alamo was the program. And I used to type like on a typewriter my reports, and I used to the pictures. I would make a picture form that looked like the form in Alamo, and I would import it in, and so everything was like manual when I first started. So when I saw Alamo, it was like, yeah, I can do this. So I've been using Alamo for 20-something, 18, 19 years.
Yeah, good for you. Well, you're an inventive guy. I don't even dare ask this next question because I already know what the answer is, and that's favorite thing you like to do when you're not appraising, but you're always appraising, man.
Yeah, I'm always appraising, but my favorite thing that I like to do when I'm not doing anything. I like to lay in the bed and I like to watch Fox News Network, get my blood pressure extremely high.
I love it, man. I love it. Okay. And your one goal for this year?
Well, for this year, I'm looking to run for councilman in my community, East St. Louis. So my goal is to be selected as one of the members of the ticket. So that's one of the goals that I have kind of set.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Well, Courtney, it's been a pleasure to get to know you, and it's been fun chatting with you. Thank you for taking time. As an introvert, got to ask you, how was it?
Oh, it was awesome. I can't even tell. That, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, it's just as natural and normal as anything else.
Well, good for you, my friend. We, I'm gonna tell you. You talked about mobile appraising and some of the challenges you've had there, and you might know this that I created a workshop called Mobile Appraising, and I just want to throw. If you got a pen and paper ready, my friend, I'm going to share a coupon code with you so you can get 10% off of that because I think you need it. I think you need it. So go to my website, theappraisercoach.com, go to the products, and then go to the mobile appraising workshop. And when you go to checkout, use MA10. MA10 will give you 10% off that course.
Okay.
And thank you for joining, my friend. I appreciate you taking time today.
No problem at all. Thank you.
And that, my friends, was Courtney Hoffman out of the St. Louis area. Folks, if you are willing and able to be on, folks, trust me, if Courtney can do it, anybody can do it. We're just having a conversation here, just you and I, just talking with a couple thousand appraisers listening in. Reach out to me, if you will, the coach at theappraisercoach.com, or you can reach out to my assistant. Her name is Lee, and you can reach her at the assistant at theappraisercoach.com. Thanks again, Courtney, and thank you, listeners, for listening in, and we will catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
How'd it go? What do you think? It was perfect. It was great. It's exactly what I thought it was because I've heard every last one of your shows, so it went exactly how I thought it was. But it was great.
I love it. Well, we'll get it edited up. There were a couple flub ups that I had. You did perfect, but I had a couple flub ups that I'll make sure the editor takes out, and then we'll get it out here in the next several weeks.